Folks, we are live. Welcome to Gamers Health. I hold on a second. I want to put on the Christmas background.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. This is the one I've been using. With the
that's cute. It's got little lights around the edge.
Well, we could do
colors.
I tell you,
man.
A blurry Christmas scene. Then we got the one where you can't. No, we'll go with the one with the nice little around the edges.
Yeah, the garland or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be green garland here?
Right, or just evergreen. It's just.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess it's garland. I guess technically you would call it.
Yeah, I can't really tell if it's happening at the top because it's like so thin. Okay.
Yeah, Don, welcome. Good to see you, sir. So I guess we'll start out with. Initially, we thought we were not going to have a Saturday Gamers Health. We put it to tomorrow because I had no idea what time our tickets were for
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld to talk about nothing. And
he did so well.
So when I kept on putting off checking, and then I get an email notification that you're going to see Jerry Seinfeld tomorrow from like Ticketmaster.
And I was like, Rachel, it's at 5:00.
It's at 5. Mm-hmm. I think we'll get home in time to do our usual Gamer's Health.
Yeah.
The healthnesses, as we occasionally calls it. Maybe not.
I don't know that we ever called it that.
The healthnesses.
Maybe wellnesses.
The wellnesses. Okay. So, you can't put it there, Rach, because you just put it up here.
The cat's gonna get mad.
Let the cat get mad. Who's in charge of this household?
Cat.
All right. Who's the next? Who's next in charge of the household? All right.
Me?
Unless it comes to the cat, in which case I can kind of.
Yeah. I'm like, can you come and help this cat do something? Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she wants to get out and explore, and there's going to be hell.
Well, I let her out.
It was good.
Yeah. I just didn't know she get all upset because I was coming there to mess with the door.
Yeah,
and not understanding what I was doing.
Well, what am I doing, eh? So it was a 5:00 show at the Beacon Theater in Manhattan, or as we like to say it here in New York, in the city. And if the weather had been nicer, we probably would have just taken the train in and saved some money. But we had about maybe an inch of snow last night, which has left patches of ice randomly around the neighborhood.
Yeah, we had high winds, so the snow was shifting in a lot of places.
Areas.
They said.
Yeah, so we took an Uber in, and we took an Uber out. And by the way, that was one of Jerry's jokes.
Yeah, I mean, even when you started with in the city, that was his opening kind of.
Yeah. Because
between in the city, Long Island.
Yeah, you live well. We say we're going to go into the city, right? Because Queens, Manhattan is the city, but you go in the city, you live in the city, but you live on Long Island if you're out in the.
Yeah, they say on the island or and then you're in.
You're in the city.
In the subway.
You're in the subway, but you get on the train.
You get on the train. You don't get on a cab. You get in a cab. Yeah.
Yeah. So his opening act was actually pretty good. So I would have lost a bet. I had bet unofficially recently, hey, Jerry, he's gonna be anal. He reminds me of somebody's gonna be anal. He'll be on time.
Mm-hmm.
And 5:00 came and the music changed, and I was like, "Ooh!"
And the lights changed a little bit, and we're like, "All right, yeah."
Yeah, no.
You weren't the only one. Everybody else was super excited.
I was lied to. Jerry, I was lied to, Jerry.
He does these shows like once a year.
Right, but he does multiple.
For 2 days, yeah.
Yeah, he does multiple shows. Mm-hmm. But, so his opening act, apparently, specializes in opening for Jerry. And the guy was actually pretty good.
He does well, and it was so great because, like, both of them had the theme of sort of, like, the oddities of, like, relationships and
marriage
and yeah.
Yeah, you know, what did he say? Like, you know, basically, your spouse is that rescue animal.
Oh, this was Jerry.
That was Jerry.
Yes.
Yeah. Your spouse is like that rescue animal. Like, there you are. You found them on the street. You took them in because where would they be without you? Right, Sadie? Oh wait a second. You just walked your ass
right in our house. Nobody had to like let me go get this cat. You know?
Had to like screw this. I'm coming in.
He's on this bitch now.
But so the Beacon Theater, I think, dates back to their 20s, and I think
it's a beautiful, beautiful theater.
I think they have the original seating. The original springs were sprung in my ass.
Oh, really? Yours wasn't not comfortable at all.
Oh my God. So we got there.
Like they were little, like the usual theater seats, but
they were a little bit worse. I mean, cushion wise, they need to refresh those cushions down.
I felt like my cushion was okay, and it seemed like it was like they reupholster them. But
listen. I don't have the smallest ass, but
I don't either.
But I needed my ass padding. Jerry was very good. And so 5:15, the opening act came out. 5:30, Jerry comes out. By 5:45, I was praying for Jerry to end because
you were not laughing anymore.
You noticed that?
Yeah,
because I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, what could he be saying that he doesn't like? You know,
I was just thinking about.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here laughing.
How much discomfort my ass was in. And by the way, and I'm going to throw this out there for you folks, because this applies to gaming conventions too. All right? We always talk about don't be that person. Don't be that person at the game table, let's say at a convention, is like, oh, I don't have time to bathe. I don't need to take a 10-minute shower. I'll just I'll splash a little cologne on or aftershave and I'll be fine. Because somebody in our area, and I don't know if it was the guy sitting next to me, they seemed like nice enough guys, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But somebody probably came from a gym, didn't want to shower, splashed a little aftershave on. So my eyes were burning.
Yeah, I smelled that too, and I was like, where is that coming from? That can't be my man.
Don, we will try to make your ass happy, Eric. You take that from what you want. Your mouth to God's ears, Don. Your mouth to God's ears. But it was a very good show. But then the worst part was when it did end, I couldn't stand up because if I stood up, then the guys next to me thought I wanted them to get out of my way so we could walk out. I wanted the crowd behind us to get the hell out. I just didn't want to be part of the sardine excursion. So I was like, I got to sit for a little bit longer, but it's less painful knowing that I can stand up if I need to. So, yeah, I was like that. I was like, maybe I got to do butt exercises to be better equipped. I didn't have a problem at our last 2 comedy shows. You know, where
we were for Jimmy Dore was more like a bar.
Yeah, we had bar seating.
A bar seating. And then, so you had your own stool, like you didn't have to sort of fold yourself up to, share space with other people like that. And then The one down out in Jersey that we went
for Crowder.
For Crowder, that was uncomfortable.
This was
because they were like folding chairs.
And
they were like right next to, and I was just like,
it's like, come on, man, we're not made to be this close to each other. I mean, me and Rachel are meant to be that close to each other, but I'm not meant to be that close.
But see, that's why I just go to him and I'm like. And start folding myself in the tip.
It's like, I'm going to be an origami figure right next to you. Do you mind? Do you mind if I sneak in?
Oh, I had somebody next to me. She was like she was very super conscious of like. She sat forward.
Actually, that's what I wound up doing.
Yeah, so she sat forward, and
to give you a little extra space.
Like either that and then like she was like terrified, like because she was, I gave her the armrest.
Right.
Because I had the one on our side.
You take that one.
Yeah. So like, she had, because it was, there's a single armrest between the chairs. So, the poor thing, she had a drink with her. She's like, she was like looking for a little cup holder.
Cup holders? Cup holders?
Like, I guess I'm going to have to hold it. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And so, but she was super conscious. She was like, am I bothering you? So I thought that was very sweet. Like when people are conscious about,
she didn't like
each other's space, which is like,
she didn't like the boob jokes.
Well, she could tolerate the first boob joke, but the second boob joke was.
So what was the first boob joke?
Oh.
It was about taking off the bra, right?
That was the second.
Oh. Sorry, I don't mean to offend.
It was something about like my wife now she'll trip on her boobs if she takes off her bra or something like that. Right. And then like the next one like kind of like fed right in, and then he says and she was laughing at that one, and then like. He's like,
she stubbed her toe.
He's like, just the other night, she stubbed her toe. Her boob.
And it's just like, that's not funny. Some people born kids.
She was going, you're a dick. You're a dick. She probably fed your children.
That's why, Jared.
She was funny.
Jerry! Now, what's funny is.
That was the other guy.
Okay.
That wasn't Jerry saying making jokes about the boobs.
Okay.
Jerry never went at any boobs.
By the way, Jerry gets a little bit more.
I was surprised when he said the P word. And I was like, whoa, Jerry.
Yeah. He didn't say the F word. He didn't say shit. But when he used language, he didn't hold back. And now, the last time I've seen Jerry Seinfeld now twice in person. The other time was not stand-up. The other time he was getting an honorary degree at Queens College back in 94 when I graduated. So Jerry was the guest speaker. And I don't know what he told us. Achieve your dreams or some bullshit.
You guys graduated in 94?
Yeah, I was on the 8-year program, so I graduated in 8.5 years. But I graduated at the end of 93, but my ceremony was 94.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because I was trying to, because me and Nat are the same age, and I was like, how Nat, I graduated in 93.
Yeah, so Nat did it in 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. So I did it in 8.5, and I started 4 years earlier doing the math. That's why we graduated together. But our ceremony was the June ceremony.
Okay.
So class of 94. And that's the last time I saw Jerry Seinfeld. Mm-hmm. Glenn, we got your gifts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think so. Rate that Amazon card might be going for a new printer.
Okay.
I got some ideas. Working on it. Probably announce it in 2025. Maybe I'll have to make a 2025 announcement when we do our live stream of some ideas and game plans for next year. But I will make Rach watch all the episodes.
All the red and greens?
All the red and greens. Because she wasn't paying attention when we were watching.
I think I watched a few of them, and then I went somewhere else or did something.
You see, Glenn, you see, this is what I got to deal with. Glenn said, sometimes I wish I'd pursued stand-up just so I could deal with those PC twats. Eric from Don, you have a package tracking says Monday. It will be there. Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's so
it's
cool.
beginning to feel a lot like
Christmas.
Everywhere you go.
And every other holiday too.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
So this was like...
we'll do them all.
You know, I like to take Rach out during the holidays. We try to do something. So this was... And Uber in, Uber out, Uber out. We got hit with congestion or
so
pricing.
cold. Yeah, we had surge pricing and delays. Like wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
usually when you're in the city and you order an Uber, it's usually there within like 3 minutes.
So
but this was like probably more,
about 10-minute wait.
10 at least.
Because the car we initially assigned, they never. I'm like, why are they getting further and further away? And then the next car popped on and popped off, and then the next one was like two minutes away. I was like, all right, that was about 10 minutes. It was effing cold.
Yeah, it's really, really bitter here.
You know, so, and I got to say, we were kind of spoiled because we really didn't have much of a fall. We went from summer to late fall. I mean, it stayed warm. I mean, I was out in shorts like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Scary to say.
Yeah, I wonder what I'll do next week.
Yeah. So, Glenn, you're always sober. Don't worry about it. If you get cut off, you wouldn't have gotten cut off in Ireland, by the way. That's what I was told.
Oh, no?
No. So, don't worry. I was cut off at my old pub once or twice. And it's pretty bad when you get home from the pub, and this was on my retirement day, and you get home from the pub, and your cell phone is ringing. You don't recognize the number, and you pick it up, and you're getting yelled at in an Irish accent, an Irish brogue. You dumb fuck! I'm like, huh? You know who this was.
Yes.
I go, what? She's like, listen, I know you love me, but I don't think you meant to leave me $100 tip and a $14 bill. She was treating me well anyway. I thought of buybacks. I was like, no, get your fucking ass back here and pay me the proper amount. Like,
oh my God, what was her name? Oh my God.
Marisa,
yes.
God bless her, because if she was, and if she wasn't as honest, I never would have been wiser. I'm like, damn, I must have really.
And she had that weird cousin. She was another one who Marisa was like solid. Like she was like, she didn't drink at all.
Right.
And she was rough, you know, at times. But like if she loved you, she'd
do anything for you.
Yes.
The other one was the train wreck that lived around the corner.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but she was pretty wacky.
She let's just say she might have had a nasal issue. just saying.
Yeah, that sugar that sometimes they put up there.
Yeah. So, so that was tonight or this afternoon, whatever. Great time.
Yeah.
So. If you're waiting on OSR Christmas stuff, that'll happen tomorrow. It wasn't happening today. So now this week, so a lot of times it's Rachel's weeks for doctor's appointments. This week was my week for doctor's appointments. Mm-hmm. I had two doctor's appointments. And my first appointment was my podiatrist. And I got to say that my feet are doing well. I most people, not everybody, will come down with a toe fungus. And I had a toe fungus and I had it on the nail in the feet, and that has totally receded. Apparently, though, from what readings and viewings I've done on the subject, is like I only use the medication now every 2 or 3 days. And she actually said that was fine, but you don't want to stop completely because the fungus never really goes away. It's just waiting for a chance to come back.
Oh, it just goes dormant.
Right.
Oh.
But if your nails, like I always thought, oh, I just have brittle toenails, that are, a little yellowish and white. And no, that was toe fungus. So I go now to the podiatrist every 3 months, and she trims my nails for me.
How hard is anything?
What's up?
My toenails are really hard.
And you don't got no fungus among us.
Yeah,
but
it's crazy. I'm like, this thing is thick.
But it's like getting a pedicure because I get my
well,
nails.
that's good.
I get my nails clipped and then I get them filed, and then she checks to see, if I got too much callus going on. So I get pampered every 3 months.
What diagnosis do you have to get that?
I don't think you need any diagnosis.
Really?
You'd say you have plantar fasciitis. Yeah, or you had it and you. Why?
I'm like, that might be nice. This way I won't have to cut my own.
Yeah, they'll listen.
Because there was come out butchered because I can't really see it. I just take off what feels like too long or catching on things.
Yeah, no. And
I file it, of course.
We don't need referrals with our insurance, so yeah. And listen, you could call up.
We could add another doctor to the circle. We have plenty.
We could add another. We could double date.
I got your copay, hon.
Oh, isn't that awesome? So that was Tuesday, and then Wednesday I had my cardiologist, and usually they're not the fastest, but they're not the typical wait forever. Usually you get taken on time.
Pretty close to on time.
You may wait in the actual examination room for the doctor after the initial
after your EKG
and maybe the blood work or whatever. So this time I'm waiting. I was getting close to walking up and saying, "Listen, I can come back on a different day." Because I waited for I finally at the end, it was 45 minutes before I got called, and which was, thank God, somebody who came in after me for the same doctor. The doctor's office, many doctors, was waiting for my same doctor. At least they didn't get called before me. I would have flipped. But what I found interesting was I waited another 30 minutes or so in the exam room to see my doctor. When I'm leaving, the person that I was referring to, coming in after me, finally was brought in. So they were there for probably close to an hour before. But my doctor did explain to me that he was on vacation the prior week, a week and a half, and they double booked this whole week, and it was nonstop. So I was just like, Yeah,
because Hanukkah is the 26th. That's when that starts. And
so, I mean, I
some of them take off.
Right? Yeah, I was just like, you know what? No, I like my doc. Normally, after the examination, it's sit in his room, in his office for 5 to 10 minutes, bullshit about world events, and go over some stuff.
Now, does he take you to that office, to one of those offices that's got the wooden desk?
He has his own.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if mine has his own anymore.
Oh yeah, he has.
Or if they're just swing offices, or
no,
what they are.
His is his own because all his daughter's awards are on the wall and articles about his daughter.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's his office. It's always the same one. It's not a swing office. So that went fine. I had to get a prescription refilled with him, but I didn't even do it in the office. I did it through the app or the web page or the web portal, and I got my test results back. So I mean, I wasn't expecting a phone call. Usually he calls, but I just like, listen, if you don't need to see me further today, go on and do what you got to do. I understand. You're anchor banker. He understands. So, so listen, we have a big topic to cover today. It's one of those topics where I actually put together slides.
Yeah, we research it together.
Yes. So I am going to get us started.
And, yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Want to make it bigger. I want to embiggen it. We'll take ourselves off the screen to embiggen this for now, but you know where we are. Oh, okay. I'll pull it up on the side there for you, Rachis. So we're going to talk about trauma and PTSD. And do you want me to
go ahead?
So trauma is an emotional response to a distressing event that can cause lasting harm. Trauma is a physical, cognitive, and emotional response to a harmful or life-threatening event.
So it's body and mind together, experiencing this, and a lot of the treatments are going to be, as you'll see, sort of a lot of the treatments incorporate body and mind.
So causes, trauma can be caused by a single event, like an accident or a natural disaster, or by ongoing stress, like abuse or long-term illness. Trauma can affect a person's sense of safety, self, ability to regulate emotions. I can attest to some of that. It can also cause unpredictable emotions, flashbacks, strained relationships, and physical symptoms. And some of these symptoms are people experiencing trauma may experience a range of emotional and psychological responses, including, but not limited to, denial, fear. I should go on to the next slide, by the way. Maybe I went too far.
I think you just passed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Denial, anger, fear, sadness, shame, confusion, anxiety, depression, numbness, guilt, hopelessness, irritability, difficulty concentrating. It can have lasting effects, especially if it's untreated.
If it's untreated, or somebody also has like a lack of social support, Yeah, like there's a whole gamut of things that go into this. And I see at the top of your slide there, it talks about post-traumatic stress disorder. But before we go there, I just want to be clear that PTSD is not a guaranteed outcome of an experience of trauma.
No, that's right.
So there are things that we have in our upbringing, in our life, that contribute to what's called resiliency. And resiliency is something that is a protective factor. I guess resiliency is like all of the protective factors that that we received as we were growing up, and also certain things that maybe we've learned to do for ourselves as we've into our adult years.
What did you do, Kat?
She stepped right in the middle of the keyboard.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of experiences that we had when we were young that give us protection against developing things like PTSD after a traumatic experience. Something also about, trauma is that you can have it just be a single event. And then there's also complex trauma that could be many different events, all coming together.
It's cumulative.
Cumulative, yes, exactly.
It's certainly it can be cumulative.
Yeah.
There can be individual events within that may be triggering.
Right. And it's also like you don't know which trauma would be the one that's sort of like, okay, this is the one that sort of like blew the cap off all the other ones too. You know?
Right. So post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a mental health condition that can develop after a person experiences or witnesses a traumatic event. Symptoms include intense thoughts and feelings. People with PTSD may have intense, disturbing thoughts and feelings related to a traumatic event that last long after the event has ended. Flashbacks and nightmares. People with PTSD may relive the event through flashbacks or nightmares. I know with me, with 9/11, in the months, maybe the first 2 years after 9/11, I went from enjoying the sound of thunderstorms to rolling out of my bed, which was a futon at that point, so I could do that. I'd roll out of bed and try to get under the futon before knowing what I was doing. Because the sound of the thunder reminded me of the sound of the debris coming at us on 9/11. And I never thought about it until I really thought about it and realized what the trigger was I able to separate it. I mean, like, we play thunderstorms at night on our Alexa because we don't want the dog to hear the cat causing a ruckus on the other side of the house.
It's basically white noise.
White noise.
Yeah.
I can go back to appreciating it for what it is. It no longer triggers that for me, but it was triggering.
Mm-hmm.
So, avoidance. People with PTSD may avoid situations, places, and activities related to the traumatic event. I avoided I went back to, 2002. I was at the memorial, and I didn't go back until Brian brought us all back a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So, avoidance is certainly part of it because, sights, sounds, images can bring back the emotions that you went through at that time.
And it's like you can totally understand why someone would have that,
Yeah.
The very experience of trauma is one of just feeling out of control. And then because sometimes if you have PTSD, you might experience intrusive memories, which are memories that you don't want there. And they come to you when you least expect it. And so the person is trying to control their environment and control exposure to things that can trigger memories and flashbacks of the event.
Hiatus. It is also possible that each cumulative event has to be addressed separately or together, or both. Mm-hmm. EMDR therapy is a good tool for this subject.
Yeah.
But everyone's mileage may vary. Great success. Mm-hmm. Successes with vets.
Yes. It's one of the gold standards.
Yep. So, Do we start the next page? Probably not. Negative emotions. People with PTSD may feel sadness, fear, anger, guilt, or shame. I certainly felt survivor's guilt for years. Sometimes I still do. Arousal and reactivity. People with PTSD may be easily startled, feel tense, on guard, or on edge, or have difficulty concentrating. It may lead to physical pain, such as headaches or stomach aches. It can lead to sleep issues, either inability to sleep, insomnia, or you're always sleeping. You don't want to go to bed. You just part of your mind is always wanting to escape into
Yes.
sleep.
Yeah. The extremes in any behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
And difficulty with concentrating, that we've already mentioned that. That part earlier. PTSD can develop at any age,
Yeah.
but some risk factors include having had trauma in childhood,
Yeah.
feeling horror, helplessness, or extreme fear, going through a traumatic event that lasts a long time, having little or no social support after the event, and having a history of mental illness or substance use. And I know, and I've seen this in a number of people in my life who have, yes, Blackbird, nightmares, certainly. That's part of a lot of times the sleeplessness is that you sleep and then your nightmares, you're afraid to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Substance abuse doesn't just mean narcotics, it means alcohol. I knew a lot of cops that self-medicated, especially after 9/11. Because we all saw things we should never have had to have seen.
Yes.
But like one of my individual PTSD incidents, and I think I've told this story before, was I had a child, and I was working midnights, and we had a 7-year-old child. She looked like maybe 4, undernourished.
Oh, okay.
And this kid, essentially, we found out afterwards, what had gone into cardiac arrest. And cardiac arrest because grandma, who had been given the responsibility of childcare, because it was one of these railroad apartments with multiple families living in one apartment. And grandma couldn't read English and didn't know the dosage to give, and basically OD'd this kid on their cough medicine to the point that it gave kid cardiac arrest. And after getting the child to the hospital, the child died. I was actually assigned to the family, me and my partner. We couldn't leave until there was a resolution.
An explanation to what happened with this child.
Right. And it was a horrible event.
Of course.
And when we came back from that, we asked if we could have our meal early and decompress. And we were told, we're holding jobs, get the fuck out. So, never got to deal with it.
Right, that's it. It's like, oh, well, the work needs to get done, so you better keep that stiff upper lip and keep it moving.
Right.
Yeah.
So, fast forward a number of years, I'm a sergeant, and it's Christmas Day. And job comes over, unconscious toddler in housing. No housing available. My driver knew me pretty well. She already turned the car around and had lights and sirens. We were going to it. My sector car goes over the radio, going, Central, can you just try housing one more time? And I went on the radio and cursed my one and only time. Ethan, pick up your fucking job, 2-6 Sergeant, show me responding. We get there. It's housing 18 stories up. We're waiting for the elevator, and as the elevator comes down, out steps foster grandma with this unconscious child. It was a black child who had turned purple, not making a sound. And she sees my gold shield sees I'm somebody in authority, and from about 4 feet away throws this child with a big thrust, and the child impacts on my shoulder and promptly pukes all over my back.
She was choking?
Yeah.
Thank God.
Sucks in air and starts screaming. And this is when the EMS shows up. Mm-hmm. So now, the child that I thought was going to die, EMS is saying, looks good, we'll take it to the hospital. Aww. All looks good. I had my Christmas miracle. I didn't think much of it until I got home. And I got home, and I don't feel any emotions now. I started bawling my eyes out. I couldn't understand why. I'm like, the kid lived.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was finally crying.
Aww, for that little girl.
So I knew this was going to be a tough one, but I knew it had to be done. Mm-hmm. And if you suffer PTSD, the holidays can be worse because of little things bring things up, and you're like, and the whole part about being on edge. But I am blessed. I have the family support.
Right. There's that also that feeling of being on edge, but also like that whole. It's almost like when someone's going through this, it's like they can't experience the joy,
right,
that a family member that hasn't been through the same has around the holidays, and like because you're trying to shield your family member from that,
right,
that it often feels like a disconnect.
So let me move on.
And yeah, I was so happy to hear about the child vomiting down your back.
Oh my God.
I was like, that's why we got kind of like got giddy there. I was like, oh, he's okay. That's the best vomit ever.
Oh yeah. Again, and I was great with near the end of my tour, and I left and I drove home, and and we had freezing rain, and it was a horrible drive home, but it wasn't until I actually
once you got to home. Safety.
Yes, once I got to safety
is where you were able to start to process some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blackbird magic. It can be hard to hear. It's the most wonderful time of the year for the media and society if you don't really feel that way yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of times, I mean, when I was younger, not a kid, but when I was in my early adult times, I felt I had an obligation with the family to always be the one making jokes and making the holiday good. And even if I wasn't into it because of whatever was going on, I felt that obligation. That was the role I was expected to play. I no longer feel that obligation. It is, however, a role I'm happy to play now because I genuinely enjoy the holidays. Because when I worked retail, I hated it because I worked retail. Mm-hmm. And when I was a cop, a lot of your worst shit happened on the holidays.
Yeah.
The
worst family fights.
The worst family fights, the worst domestics. Yeah. If you're going to have a DWI with fatalities, it's going to happen around the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is, Rach could tell you. Let me finish this up, and then we'll do a recap at the end.
Okay.
Treatment: post-traumatic stress disorder is typically treated with a combination of psychotherapy and medications, or psychotherapy alone. I'm going to point something out. They're not just saying you can medicate this away.
Yeah, I think what it is usually what happens is people will, try going the psychotherapy route. And then like if there's certain symptoms that you're having that could benefit from medication, the therapist will refer to a psychiatrist, and
Right.
you'd be able to get medicines that way if it's indicated. But yeah, all have their role to play.
Yeah, the best treatment plan depends on the individual's symptoms and needs, and can be developed with the help of with the help of a mental health professional. Some common treatment for PTSD include psychotherapy, which includes things such as cognitive processing therapy (CPT), eye movement and desensitization. It's hard to get those words right when you're
Eye movement, EMDR, desensitization,
and reprocessing and prolonged exposure can help people work through their trauma.
Yeah.
In these therapies, patients learn to change unhelpful beliefs and visualize, talk, or think about the traumatic event until it becomes less upsetting.
So if you experience, PTSD and you're considering going for therapy, make sure, and you're interested and you feel like, EMDR could be something that would be good for me, make sure that therapist is trained in delivering that kind of therapy. Also that insurance pays for it pretty widely. So like, but you will, have for insurance to pay, you definitely have to have a diagnosis,
right?
There for them to do that, and like even too, like sometimes the insurances can be difficult with that. Maybe not with treatment at the VA because that's like all under the same roof,
right?
But in like community mental health clinics, for example, where sessions are like a half an hour as opposed to the 60 to 90 minutes that are needed for an EMDR session. Just be careful as you're, looking around for help. There's also something to the people that created the CPT, the cognitive processing therapy.
Which Blackbird says it also is called cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes, that CBT is the big umbrella for that. This CPT is sort of a subgrouping of like different skills that you can learn to help yourself manage some of the symptoms. And so like there's even a self-help workbook that the people that came up with the CPT have. You could put this maybe in the camera.
Well, I'll put up in the camera when we have a camera to show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll film.
Oh, I thought you read it all. I'm sorry.
No, we're here. Last page. Medication. There are we're not listing the medications, but benzos, anti-anxiety drugs, are not recommended for PTSD. And I just thought we should point it out.
Yeah, because the body and the mind together are like through treatment, sort of righting themselves from having to be in fight or flight. And so if you give benzodiazepines, you're getting sort of that rest and digest happening artificially. And what you're trying to do is train your body mind to be able to achieve going into the parasympathetic nervous system and upregulating that so that this way you can do that on your own and without the medication assist.
So stress inoculation therapy training, SIT, teaches people with PTSD to cope with symptoms and reduce their stress levels. Mm. Other factors that can contribute to recovery include support from family and friends, It's possible to successfully treat PTSD many years after the traumatic event. It's never too late to get help. So I'm going to bring us back on the screen. So Rach wants me to show.
And so that is if they have it
it's backwards though.
Oh shit!
Getting Unstuck from PTSD. It's available in hardcover and in Kindle format.
I was looking for it on the Audible. They don't have it, but
also paperback is about $19.
And it's basically a self-help workbook. Like, a lot of times people are not comfortable with going into therapy, and so, but self-help, they'll be perfectly comfortable. Let me get a book and try to understand. Right. And so these are like just basically explanations and worksheets and things that you can do on your own, like to be able to work on that, before you sought therapy, or even sometimes some people just don't choose to do therapy at all. And it's just nice that there's an option that's like a self-help option.
I mean, this stuff. I had mentioned this the other night, that I suffered to PTSD from some extent, and it was like, what? And it's like, there's these preconceived notions that people with PTSD, they have PTSD, they don't function. No, people with PTSD function often just fine. But you got triggering moments, and I can have weird ass triggering moments. I can be less so now, but Rachel and I can be watching commercial. We don't watch so much commercial TV, but I can sometimes at these stupid, heart-wrenching commercials, and I find myself getting sappy, not because of the damn commercial, but it's hitting a memory of mine from, I don't know, 2001 when I was on patrol in the South Bronx, and it's hitting that I have repressed for probably over 20, 25 years.
So this is sort of the aspect too, like we start to work on processing these things, or like our body mind starts to like give us glimpses of these things.
Right.
As we are in a safe place.
Retirement for me is that.
So maybe that is that safe place, you know, like our marriage is a safe place. Our family is a safe place. And then, retirement also like made it a safe place, because it's like, okay, I'm retired. I don't do police work anymore.
Right. But now, Rach, since you share the life with me here, when I retired and we had all these incidents that were happening, both with my job and other departments throughout the country, where cops were getting injured or killed or worse.
Yes.
I started feeling survivor's guilt.
Yes, and that would sort of come through, and like he'd go on the internet and interestingly, he'd kind of he would get a lot more exposure to that trauma of like a cop being shot or a cop being injured somewhere, and every time this happens, and to this day. This is what happens. Like if I hear about if he tells me, oh, Rachel, there was a police shooting here. And if it's an NYPD shooting, generally he'll be able to find, I think on the police board.
Yeah, the radio run.
That they'll play back the whole exchange of what happened over the radios when this whole situation was happening. And he'll go through and be like, well, what could have been done differently, or what could have, how did that happen? And so he definitely stays with it.
It's certain parts of you are going to be parts of you. Yeah. I mean, a traumatic experience that I never haven't brought up, probably not in this channel. My training sergeant was killed in an off-duty DV accident. He was DV. The accident didn't kill him. The individual that robbed him for his wallet and his gun, who shot him in the head, killed him. Strangely enough, I was probably about 3 blocks away when that incident happened, dropping off an officer I worked with. Fitz had been off, took the day off. So we had finished our tour. I was driving her home. All these patrol cars and they were doing
What time of night did this happen?
It happened around 2:30. We worked 6 to 2.
6 to 2, okay.
And so I get a phone call the next morning. The person I dropped off, by the way, is the one that found his ID and shield.
Oh.
It literally happened right by her apartment. I get a phone call the next morning from 2 other cops I worked with telling me that Fitz was dead. I was part of the honor guard, 6-man honor guard. I was assigned to his family. It was a blessing and a curse. I regret none of it. But it was a very political thing within the NYPD, the higher ups, because Fitz was DWI.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he was shot with his own gun and killed. So they didn't. So the NYPD just gave him the 6 rookies from his precinct, didn't give him an honor guard from One Police Plaza. We had a sergeant come up on his own time to put us through our paces, and carrying the coffin and all the stuff. Okay. And for the next, I don't know, 10 years, every time I went to a funeral and I had to go and look at a coffin, I saw Fitz's face. For 10 years. Sadly, what broke that was my son's mother passing. She would have looked horrible as Fitz.
Aww.
And then that kind of fixed itself. And then I didn't even realize that I was doing that to myself until I stopped doing it. And then I went, whoa, why am I no longer... The healing sometimes takes years. Sometimes it doesn't happen.
Right.
I still feel the raw emotions of that. I'm happy with that because it means I'm alive.
You know, and when we used to go to the Irish bars, we'd always play
Streets of New York.
Streets of New York for Fitz.
So
it's like an Irish song that describes an Irish policeman and his growing up through the force and his family and children. And
yeah. It's a very good song, but of both times.
Yeah.
So I mean, I am happy to share this stuff. Part of this, for me, sharing is healing.
Yes.
All right, so don't look at this and go, "Oh my God, Eric's getting all teary-eyed."
Yeah, he's really upset. He's not okay. He's absolutely okay, and this is you know that this is also also part of how you move through it. Right. You have to share it. You talk about it. In these therapies, you talk about memories that you have that are related to the trauma.
I mean, honestly, when you're a cop, when you're an active cop, when you're a working cop, when you're special forces, when you're military deployed, you don't talk about the trauma that you go through or the trauma that you and your fellow men and women go through. Because if you talk about it at the time, you won't be able to continue doing what you need to do.
Right.
So you compartmentalize.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why certain jobs have such gallows humor.
Yeah.
Because the only way you can deal with some of these horrors is to mock it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I remember a friend who served in the military, became a nurse. She she had a lot of PTSD symptoms, features, and she, I was like, oh, but there's treatment and you can do this and you have, access to some very, really excellent treatment, through the VA. And she was like, oh, well, didn't want it. They screen you for it when you leave the military. Like they try to screen you for PTSD, but most people, even though they have it, they deny everything. And I think that's probably partly because they're afraid of like, what's the consequence going to be if I say that I have this?
40 room reach, excuse me.
No worries. And, I think a lot of her worry was if I come back in or will I still be able to, be a reservist, those kinds of things and how it's going to impact her career. So, she was always afraid to acknowledge any of these things when she'd be assessed for it during her service or actually at the end of her service.
Definitely.
I can totally understand.
So in the months after 9/11, probably I'm going to guess about 4 months after, when the detail was wrapping up and they no longer needed thousands of bodies manning the pit and the site, Ground Zero. They sent the 8 and 1, the 8 cops and 1 sergeant, my friend Michelle. They sent us to a group debriefing / therapy session. And I've never experienced 9 angry people basically telling a therapist to go fuck yourself.
Yep.
Because it wasn't... I understood why the job did it. Part of it's CYA.
Yeah.
But we talked more about what we saw that day on the ride down and the ride back than we did in that therapy session because everybody was circling the wagons, protecting everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's part of it too. Again, I could not have done my job as effectively as I did if I dealt with these incidents, these emotional bags of shit, these horrors at the time. If I dealt with it at the time, I would not have been functioning. So you learn to put it aside. I
compartmentalize it.
When my mother's, well, it's actually when my aunt had passed, and we had to go and because my uncle was like, yeah, I'll be there for Thanksgiving, but I don't think my wife will be. She's dead. He was losing it.
Yeah,
it was natural causes, but
he got the dementia even then.
I turned on my cop persona, went upstairs, said, well, yeah, there she is. Pants down. Obvious to me that she had a heart attack while she was on the bowl and then fell. It was a horrible position, and he tried to move her to pick her up afterwards. But I had to go through the whole process of a relative that I have been a major part of my life for decades and do it as a non-emotional, detached individual. Check the pulse, check the temperature, check for breath.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, well, I'll just call 911.
Yes.
This was before then. And then when I was done with them, I was like, oh, should we try mouth to mouth? Because, working where I worked, we had to be trained with that. So, I was like, oh, should we try? And I was like, no, there's nothing to try.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
So, and again, I was, afterwards, I was surprised at myself how easily I slipped into that mode.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the fact that I can do it. And at the same time, as a retired individual, I'm like, I don't want it to be all that easy unless I need it to be.
Right.
Right? If there's an emergent situation, I don't want to have my emotions slowing me down And my fears, you put all that to the side, you deal with what you have to do, and then deal with the emotions and the fears days, weeks, months, years down the line.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do. Rory, Ken Carr, regarding your 9/11 story, how can you accept therapy from someone who has never experienced the same things as the person they're speaking to? You know, there's a part of it. I mean, I know
that's a very real part of it.
Yeah, I know that after 9/11, there was a lot of free therapy being offered, and there was one place fairly close to my house, short drive, and I made an appointment. Blew my mind because I was having some nightmares, not horrible nightmares, but where you just wake up going, "Oh, I'm reliving the event," and not fun. And I went, and the therapist, I said to myself and talked, and after half an hour, she was like, "All right, well," she goes, "Do you want my professional opinion?" I go, "Yes." She goes, "You're perfectly normal." I go, "What do you mean?" Because I never had an incident that at that point had given me nightmares. And I almost shot somebody in the roof for taking a shit. I mean, I had some really weird ass times and stressful times. 9/11 took it to another level. She goes, "If you weren't experiencing this, I'd be concerned."
Yes, if you were.
So I was like, all right.
Like,
there.
Yeah, we should worry about you being antisocial if you weren't impacted by it.
Mike, relating to gaming, Draven Swiftbow's channel has a really great video about depression and D&D that came out a number of years ago. I'll have to look at it. I mean, and by the way, folks, there's this. I'm not a therapist. Rachel's retired. Okay. Gaming is not a therapy. However, being with your friends is. Okay.
Right. It can be a tool to help you.
Right. But don't
be around people, help you enjoy life.
Right. But don't use D&D to go, "Oh, well, I went through this traumatic experience. Let me relive it in gaming." No, that's not the point to it.
Yeah, because you can't just assign a random group of people as your therapists.
Yeah.
And just roll the dice and trust fate. That's not how that works.
Wonky, thank you for dropping by. Merry Christmas to you too. And your better half. What can I say? Rory, I don't mean that in a combative way. The wording is difficult through text. You've gotten my point from your reply, though. Thank God. Just that the feeling of someone else not getting it, if it makes sense. It certainly does. And
yeah, I mean, and I used to hear that a lot with folks, because I worked a lot in substance disorder clinics, and that was always like, "What did you use? You have to tell your story." It's like, "No, we're not here for me."
Yeah, but
through the relationship building, someone can get comfortable, but it's not right. It's not necessarily self-help in the same way.
No,
like that. But it is when you go to AA meetings.
Right. But now listen, AA meetings, right? You've got people who have common experiences.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Agile Monk dropped in. Agile Monk. I know for me, after 8+ years in special ops and anti-terrorism, seeing women and or children be threatened. Or hurt kicks off all my PTSD triggers, and I become a different person. Exactly. And listen, when I went through our sex crimes and child abuse course, best course the NYPD gives to its investigators, that course is a course in almost instant PTSD, because I remember calling up my son's mother and going, If anybody lays a hand on Chris, anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody with
Yeah.
this kid. I mean, she's like, what is, I go, I've seen what I should. And by the way, part of this course, and you can walk out, but they don't want you to. They want you to stay to your breaking point. They part of the course is 5 minutes of child pornography.
Oh.
So you can not just see it, but understand the evil of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that still resonates. Blackbird trying to do therapy with D&D with non-professionals can do more harm than good.
Yes.
Exactly. Again, if I refer to D&D as my therapy, it's my bonding.
My network.
It's my network.
Yeah.
It's my bonding. It's my relaxation.
It's the social
my
support.
ball dusting.
Yeah.
It's the social support. You don't. No man, no woman should be an island. That's part of what Rachel and I do this Gamers Health live stream for. We want people to know they're not alone. And listen, if you need to reach out to me on social media and vent or bitch or just talk to somebody, do so. I'm on Discord. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I don't always check Twitter. It's nothing. I'm on Blue Sky, but God knows there's also a fake me on Blue Sky. So, Glenn, Lord, I've had players, GMs try that at session, never worked out, and pissed off a lot of folks at the table. Yeah, you know, it's a recreation, right? It shouldn't feel like therapy, and it shouldn't feel like work. It should feel like an escape, and that's when gaming is at its best, when it feels like an escape. Because sometimes just that escape allows some of this stuff that...
Right. We had a therapist on last year.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was explaining sort of how he incorporates the game into individual sessions.
Which really...
Because it didn't seem appropriate for... He felt it wasn't appropriate for him to sort of do it as a group therapy, because each person needed something different. And the group dynamic was going to be adding more into it than maybe what people could handle, and probably what he could handle as a therapist in terms of like guiding the game, toward a therapeutic place.
Right. So, Mike, Draven's video was about being with friends and gaming being a relief from mental anguish. Yes. Yeah. Not the game, not the entire game turning into a group therapy session.
Thank God.
Thank God. Blackbird, people with complex PTSD can have very different triggers from veterans.
Yeah.
Police. Yes. I mean, and here's the thing, right? Like PTSD is always taken from your perspective. It's a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rach will see when I'm getting triggered, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." I got to work through the moment, and as I work through these moments, the moments are less, and I feel better because I'm dealing with emotions that I might have stuck away since I hit patrol in '97. Rory, Rachel, this is for you, lady. What do you think about Carl Jung? Personally, I think him and Lacan are awesome. I don't know, or Lacan, Lacan.
I don't think I know that last name, but absolutely, Carl Jung. Like anybody that helps us be able to look into who we are, and what makes us work. Carl Jung had like all the archetypes, and like sometimes people think of Carl Jung as he's into the mind expansion, and like think of like psychedelia and stuff like that, but no, it's more. I love it, and I just downloaded some Carl Jung books to my Audibles. I really like being able to use these things for like looking at self,
Right.
and like, sometimes being able to help people use some of these like theories to, ask questions and look inward.
So, I mean, if you ask me, why do I personally do Gamers Health? It's because it makes me such a amazing part of this community. What are you looking for?
Do you have a pen here?
Should.
Or can you take the L name? There was an L name that he mentioned.
Lacan. Lacan.
Lacan.
I can't. Here,
here, I got my phone here.
Okay.
Forgot about that.
But I do this, and there are times where I get very emotional while talking about incidents that happened to me when I was working, 9/11, personal stuff, whatever. I'm not ashamed. I was never ashamed of showing emotions as a cop, but it just was never appropriate to show it as a cop because you've got that image to put out. All right? You got to have that, you got to be the Rock. He was a French psychoanalyst. Quite an interesting fellow. Some lectures on YouTube.
Cool. I got to check that out. I don't remember learning of him.
Agile Monk, Carl Jung, The Red Book, and Jordan Peterson are very helpful.
Yeah.
So. Well, I think we've gone. I knew this was going to be a long episode, folks.
It's all good.
And
thank you so much, guys, for just giving us so much, and
the currency that people like. Oh, you make money off YouTube, right? Listen, I don't make much money off of YouTube. I make more money off of drive-through affiliate sales, believe it or not. And that's not even really to the YouTube channel. But the currency that I live on, that feeds me, is you all. Your feedback.
Right. The fact that you're building a community.
Yeah. So that's if you want to know why I do it, I don't do it for the clicks. I don't do it for the dimes and nickels and quarters that YouTube pays. I do it because of you all.
Yeah, you created your own space here.
And you're getting something out of this.
Mm-hmm.
It means like real short. When I became a cop, I had one, besides having a good pension, the end goal. I was like, I want to make sure that in my 20 years, I help one life. I change one life. I save one life for the better. And I know I did at least one.
Yeah.
I know that because the person told me. In my retirement, I hope to reach more people than I ever could as a cop. And I want to do that through... I am not a perfectly healthy individual by far. So that's the reason why I can talk about my successes and my failures with equal authority.
Mm-hmm.
And to let you know that you're not alone. Okay? None of us are perfect. And anybody who claims they are is full of shit. So, folks, 2 quick notes to wrap up on here. Next week, Saturday night, after Christmas, we are most likely going to have a live stream, unless we have some guests, in which case it might get pushed to Sunday. We'll see how the schedule goes.
Oh, because are we gonna do Saturday and then Tuesday?
We're gonna do New Year's Eve.
Okay.
New Year's Eve is totally different. New Year's Eve, I'm going to remind folks about this next week. Next week, I will put a link up in the chat on the bottom of the screen. It's going to be to the Discord server. Why is that? Because next week, I want you to go to the Discord server if you want to participate in this channel, not just in the chat, but you want to come on live with us. I'm going to put the link up in the Discord server in the Gamers Health section on the 10 Cars Tavern Discord server. And that way, any of the regulars, you can all come in, hang out. We're going to come online probably around 11:15, 11:30, New Year's Eve, New York time. We'll stay on to at least Central's New Year's Eve. So we'll be on
Maybe
for at least
1.
for 1 hour time, 1:15.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody wants to hop in and join us from our community, you're all more than welcome. Stay as long as you want. Hop out when you want. This is about spending time and saying goodbye to the old year and welcoming in the new year with the people of this community. And we want you to be a part of it if you want to be a part of it.
Yeah, maybe on that episode we'll explain about the Lumen. Not sponsored, by the way.
Yeah.
But we have this thing called Lumen. It's basically a breathalyzer that helps you understand your metabolism better. And we'll explain more about it and show it off next week.
Yeah, because we'll have more time using it. We've got about 3 or 4 days using it now.
Yeah.
We'll have about a week and a half.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for joining us. If you have other topics you want us to address,
please feel free to reach out and
you can
let
find
us know.
Social media, Discord, wherever. Be safe. Be well.
Any conditions that you might be going through, because it also helps us to learn about different conditions that other people go through, and be able to create space for those and learn about them together.
Yeah. So be safe, be well. God bless. Roll the dice. Roll them well. Regular video on tomorrow. Next live stream is no live stream on Wednesday. It's Christmas. Oh my God! All right, yeah.
I was about to say, take good care and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
It would probably, Rory, you drinking 10 points. The Lumen, I'm guessing, would tell you that you're in carb burning, not fat burning. I don't know. I'm not going to be the one be testing that 10 pints part. That's way beyond. I'm no longer at that stage in my life. That was a younger me. All right, folks. Good night. God bless.